10 a.m. on the dot. Hey, everybody. Let's see here. Waiting for some of you to join in on this one. This is so exciting. Our first Instagram live from quarantine. Of course, we had to bring a special guest on with me for our very first Instagram live. That would be Coy Bowles of the Zac Brown Band and all of my kids' favorite children's books. He's doing amazing things for all of us parents during quarantine. That he is joining me live in 5, 4, 3. There he is.
We did it.
We did it, Coy. I have to
Awesome.
as I'm setting it up in my little pouch here. I just want everyone to take a moment and listen to that silence. Did you hear that? For the first time all morning, if you watched my stories, the kids are going insane. So my husband just took them for a drive. I wanted to be able to get some uninterrupted time with you. Hi, Coy. I'm so happy to see your face.
We got my coffee as well. Cheers.
Cheers in a mason jar. That's the Southern gentleman. First up, how are you holding up? That's my number one question to pretty much everyone these days is how are you holding up?
Man, it has been challenging. I cannot lie. I think that the first couple of weeks were a little more intense, and then you kind of adapt. I'm used to a lot of change because of being from one city to the next city, probably more than the average human being is. But the way it's affected our industry, with, concerts and stuff like that kind of coming to a halt or gatherings in general. So I think the first part of it was like, so when are we going to go back out again? Kind of thing was a big part of it. But luckily, I've been able to kind of adapt to somewhat of a new norm. And I guess I always have lived a life where I was raised to be really humble. Just because I grew up in a small town, we didn't have much growing up, kind of thing. So I kind of fall back on my roots of like, who I am as a person, and gratitude is like the safest bet of all time. So, every day I wake up and I go, I have my wife, who's my rock. I have my 2 kids who I don't get to spend enough time with anyway, because I'm always on the road. And so I just try to make sure that those 3 things are things that I'm like really focused on as much as I can be. And so that being said, it's I can't say that it's not, a wave that I'm riding. Some days are great because I'm doing cool stuff like this and I feel like I'm connecting with people. And, I just released the album. And so that went really well. And it was really positive for kids. So I feel like, there's these days to where you get like positive information and you're like, yes.
There's my win today.
Yeah.
I'm my wins when I can get them. Exactly. I do that all the time. I think, okay, today was a good day. Here's why. I'm going to hold on to that. Appreciate those moments so much more than I ever did. And I don't mean to sound like Pollyanna or anything, but I really, truly believe there's going to be some great things that come out of this. There's going to be some really difficult things. There's tragedy left and right, but we have got to focus on that positivity. And, when you talk about that album you released, Music for Tiny Humans, it won, by the way, Gold Award for the Parents' Choice Foundation. And I can tell you why, just as a parent, I think this is the time that we need to be finding joy for our kids as well. And they're going to remember this in some way, shape, or form. And it's got to be something each day that I look for to create joy for them. And that's why I was curious with you, how are you doing that? The music, obviously, I know you're joining us on Instagram Live at night, reading stories to our kids, singing to our kids, but what more have you been doing to find that joy?
Well, the biggest thing is I have a mentor of mine whose name is Dr. Thomas Branch. He's an orthopedic surgeon and also an inventor. Yeah. So I called him in the very beginning and was like, hey, man, what do you think is going on right now? He's the smartest guy I know, probably, used to work at CDC while, years and years back and stuff. And so he was like, he kind of explained to me what he thought was going on and whatnot. And he said, man, I don't know if you're ready to hear this or not, but he and I have known each other for probably 15 years, you know, and we definitely have a very, you know, friend / mentor kind of relationship. He knows he's that person in my life. And so he said to me, you know, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in times like this, people like you have a gift that a lot of other people don't have. And you're a giver, you're a helper, and you're a leader. And this is your call to duty now. So I immediately got off the phone with him, completely freaked out, you know, that now all of a sudden I have to do something.
No
but
pressure.
I got on, the next day I got online and I did an Instagram live, and I was like, there's kids at home. I've got books, I've got music. I like hanging out. So here we go. And so I started doing an Instagram live thing. And that led me to kind of like take this position. So now I'm just connecting with different people who need it and trying to find out how I can use my resources as far as the books that I've written, the music that I've written, me being somebody who's very passionate about kids and education, and trying to link up with different companies to provide services for kids if school doesn't go back in, or what's going to happen over summer school, or just kind of what the future holds for kids in general. So that was really inspiring to know that, like, not only do I need to kind of hunker down and like take care of my family, but that also this is a time where somebody like me gets kind of called to duty. So I found a lot of like grace in that and a lot of inspiration in that. But as far as like a day-to-day thing you're talking about with my kids, we build a lot of slides. And my daughters, because we blow up this air mattress and we tilt it sideways and put it on one couch and let it slide into the other couch. I'll have to show you pictures of it. But it's my youngest daughter is basically like, Dad, slide. All day long. Or Dad,
how old is your youngest again?
My youngest is 2 and my oldest is 3. So it's Dad slide, Dad be a monster, or Dad hide and seek all day long.
All day long.
But my youngest was attached to my wife, you know, and it was really something that was really interesting, being on the road and coming back home and being on the road and coming back home. My wife was always the center. Like the kids just really, they would love me and they would give me attention, but they really wanted her.
Mama all day long.
Yeah, and so I guess I was this guy who was her dad who came and left, you know, or something. But now it's completely changed, man. I mean, I woke up this morning and my youngest daughter, I went and picked her up, and she was like, "Mama," and she was actually like, "No, I want you," and I was like, "Oh man." I'll take it, you know? So
any day of the week. It's the best when they want you, right? Oh, that's incredible. And that's the thing, is you've been on the road and you have this amazing career traveling with Zac Brown Band. I mean, you know, you've reached the pinnacle of so many different things. And now with life halting, you know, you think about those crews that are out there with you. You think about, you know, when that's going to turn around. What about, you know, your on the road family? How do you stay in touch with them? Have you been...
Yeah, I try to
things
stay in
like
touch
this.
with people. Yeah, I have a handful of guys that I'm really tight with, and we had text message threads that we started years ago. So there's a lot of like, you know, what music are you listening to right now? You know, or sending pictures of new albums that just came out, and us kind of talking about the same stuff that we would be talking about if we were on the road, but you know, we're all at home kind of thing, you know. So but we've been using Zoom, which I wish I had a video of my family trying to Google Hangout for the first time, because it was a lot of like, your mic's not on. Hey, hold on.
Was it like my first Instagram Live? Yeah. How does this work, this stuff in these buttons?
But it was awesome. So we've been trying to do family hangs with Zoom with my wife's side of the family and whatnot, and my side of the family. And also, I've been really trying to stay diligent with staying in touch with, you know, like my core group of people. Yeah, so I mean, you know, doing the best I can. I think that, you know, that's all you can do, you know, is be kind and do your best, you know.
That's right, and stay in touch with everyone, even in these times, because, you know, it's lonely for a lot of people as well. I think about how hard it is to do this with little kids and exhausting it is. But as you point out, this family time, it's like you're watching them grow up. so quickly before your eyes, noticing things like my littlest one, he's 1.5, and he's had 3 new words in quarantine, and it's just been like the greatest experience ever to just not miss a moment. You know, I was kind of like
sure.
you. I was gone before they even woke up every morning, you know, having a show at 10 a.m. So I was never really home in the morning, and it was the weekend. And so for them, this is like, you know, carnival time, right? Like every day is, it's
all
the best.
kids want is their parents all day long. You know, that and a bunch of friends, which we can't really do right now. But, you know, like, I think, you know, my kids are definitely like living it up right now as far as mom's here all the time, full attention, dad's here, you know, like full attention kind of thing, you know.
Air mattress slides. I mean, I'm stealing that idea. I'm currently
blow up, if you have like the old air mattress that, you know, company would sleep on, if you get like the house gets overloaded type thing, blow that up and see what happens. It turns into like a fun park fast.
Anything to kill like the good hour, 2 hours. You know those activities you're like, okay, this kills 1 to 2 hours. I am so in.
Yeah.
So I mentioned in my stories your books. I did an interview with you about 3 years ago, I think it was, and you gave me a stack of your books when my little guy, I mean, he was not even a year yet, and so I started reading them, and they just became his favorite. They still are. He always goes for them. Now the little one, Amy Giggles, is his favorite because it's just like the big face and all the animated pictures.
Sure.
But Coy, I think the thing that they love about them is that character that you talk about, where you came from, how your family raised you. It comes across in your books, you know? Cool. And it's like Will Powers. That book is all about like, keep practicing, keep trying. You're not just going to be good at something. You have to put in the work. And I was just curious, like, where did some of these stories come from? Are they personal stories? Are you Will Powers?
I kind of am, actually. So the first book, if people haven't seen it, so here's Amy Giggles. And the whole story behind this was I was sitting down with our bass player in the Zac Brown Band. He was dating a girl who's now his wife, and he has 3 kids with. So this was 10 years ago. And we were all around the table, and I was trying to be myself, which is, you know, following the sword to be funny at any moment. You know, that's my job in life, is to try to be the comedian or whatnot. So I was, we were hanging out, having lunch or dinner, and I was trying to be funny. And when I would say something funny, she would kind of do this snorting thing. And I was like, I asked my friend later on, I was like, is that like a twitch or something that, you know, I was like, man, I've been around her a lot. I don't know about this. And he said, no, when she was young, she got made fun of how she laughed. And so she decided not to laugh anymore. So now she like holds it in. And then when it's really funny, she does this snorting thing. And I was like, whoa, that's really crazy. So I went and took a writing retreat, and I wrote this book called Amy Giggles Laugh Out Loud. And I read it to Zac and another guy, Bob Taylor from Taylor Guitars. And both of them were like, man, that's really good. You should do something with that. And that was kind of the magic word. So I went through and found an illustrator. It took me 2 years basically to get it, you know, to final. I self-published it and put it out, and just to see what happened. And it was moderately successful in the beginning, and then the fans picked up to it. But one thing that's really crazy about the Zac Brown Band and the fans are, a lot of times when you meet them, they won't say, man, your concert last year was awesome or anything. They'll say, my kid, my 11-year-old son is devastated that he can't be here right now. Or my 5-year-old daughter, and they'll show you a video, can sing all of Chicken Fried, you know, or something like that. So I really was like, man, what if I were to pay more attention to the kids? Maybe there would be some kind of connection there with the fan base. And so it ended up being, so then that led into this book called Will Powers, Where There's a Will, There's a Way, which was basically my story. I tried out for band when I was in, I think, 4th grade or 5th grade, somewhere around in there, and I didn't make it. And I came back to my house, and I was like, I can't believe I didn't make band, you know? Everybody makes band. And my mom was like, why would you think that you would make band? You know, you don't practice music, you know? So basically, you know, I kind of used that moral of that story to where I eventually started playing guitar. And because of not making band, that was one thing that kind of fueled me to practice more. But I also fell in love with music at a very young age, and was self-taught, and would go to my room and, sit down and practice for what I would think would be, a couple hours, and it ended up being like most of the day. I learned Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. It was like one of my first songs. And about 3 months later, I played it literally every day for about 5 hours straight, over and over and over. And my dad came upstairs and was like, "Man, you have got that song down.
Let's move on to another song.
Let's learn another one for your dad." For your dad. Let's learn another one for Papa,
You learned a couple more, Coy.
Yeah. So I moved on. Well. I learned another tune. Yeah. But I just, it's really funny. I just had my dad just came out on the road with us this last run, and there's a picture of him and I. There's a moment where I take a break, and the band plays a song, just like kind of more acoustic. And so there's a picture that one of the guys that's the photographers took of me and my dad, like arm in arm, like watching, the Zac Brown Band play on the side of the stage, kind of thing. And it was just really wild, man, to think. Yeah, man, he's just on top of the moon about it all. My mom and dad are both just like, this is so cool, and they're so proud. So yeah, okay. And then I ended up going big time.
Oh, I love that one.
I wrote a book called When You're Feeling Sick. And this comes from a true story. My mom had an incident happen where she was in the hospital in a coma for like 2 or 3 weeks. I won't leave the cliffhanger. She is doing amazing right now. She is 100% back, but it was the scariest thing that had ever happened to me in my life. And I stayed in the hospital with my dad in the waiting room for like 3 weeks while we were just fingers crossed that things were going to turn around. And I realized how affecting it is to be sick and in the hospital, and how mentally and emotionally draining it is, and how many people who have kids who end up having leukemia or something like that, and years of their lives are like that. Because I was down in the catering area, and this girl I went to high school with said, "Hey, what's up, dude? My daughter's here. Her blood count is a little low because she's got a cold. So every time she gets a cold, they got to go back to the hospital for a couple of days. Will you come and read Amy Giggles?" She absolutely loves the book. We brought it with us. And I'd never read a book in my life to a kid before, like ever. I had written children's books before, but never read them aloud, which is super weird to think. And I was so nervous. I mean, literally, like my palms were sweating, that I was going to go in and be this guy who has this beard and long hair and tattoos and stuff like that. And she was just going to be like, So I was more afraid of her than she was of me. And I go in the room, and she's kind of shy and bashful. And she has this like blanket on, and I comment about how I really like her blanket, and she kind of opened up. And then I sat down and read the book, and next thing you know, she's like, we were like buddies, like just in like the 3 minutes that it took to write the book. And so I went back upstairs and sat there for a second, and I had like another week before my mom got out of the hospital. I didn't know that, but I was thinking, man, this is really tough, and a lot of people go through this, and it'd be really awesome if I wrote a book that talks about being sick, and how to have hope and humor, and how doctors are the smartest people alive, and nurses have this ability to be just kind of like, the mother of all mothers. You know what I mean? Like, I have such a love and respect for doctors and nurses because of, specifically in a time right now.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Man, they show up, they show up no matter what.
And they give everything, the hours, their safety, their family safety. There aren't any words. And I loved in the book that shout out that you gave to nurses and doctors, and also reminding kids that they're not scary, that they're the greatest people in the whole universe.
Yeah, exactly.
And they are. And it's like giving that comfort to kids, because it's a scary place.
Yeah, this book was something that felt really good to write. I'm really proud of it. And, one of this is a really cool story, but so my mom's last Facebook post before she had the incident was that Queen of California by John Mayer is one of her favorite new songs. And so I was scrolling through her Facebook and saw that. And so when she was in a coma, I would go in and I would sing to her, and I would talk to her, just all day, And so later on, she got out of the coma, but she was still in a pretty difficult situation. And John had just had trouble with his voice, and he was coming out on the road with friends and sitting in on guitar with people. So guys in our band went to college with him and known him since he was young and all that stuff. And he comes out on the road, and I say, man, I just have to tell you that this last album that you did called Born and Raised has been the soundtrack of this really horrible event that's been going on in my life. But it's been the power of music has been just shining so bright through all of this, this kind of stuff that I've been going through in my mom's health. And he looks at me and goes, do you have your phone on you? And I was like, yeah, sure. He was like, pull it out and take a video. So I pull out my phone and I pointed at him and I pressed the video button, and he goes, hey Mom, this is John Mayer. I hope that you're doing well. I hear that your favorite song is Queen of California. My voice is a little messed up, so I'm not going to be able to sing really good right now, but us and the rest of the guys are going to be able to sing this song to you. So I just filmed the guys, just like kind of everybody knew the song well enough to just kind of make it through it, And I called my mom after I got off the phone
awesome.
And was like, I have the coolest thing you're ever going to see. And I swear, if John Mayer, if I looked on Instagram and he's like, just ran off the road and busted all 4 of my tires, I'm waiting on AAA to get here, I'd be like, I'm on my way, dude.
For life. I'm your guy for life.
Yeah. But it taught me something that's really interesting. The power of video is something that sending people special messages. Like I have fans who'll ask, like this guy just asked, he's like, my wife is having a really hard time. We're about to have a baby any day now, and she's just kind of scared. And she's such a huge fan of the band. And I sent him a message, inspired by John Mayer, basically like, hey, you're going to be fine. You're going to be a great mother. This is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. I'm here. You're there. You're going to be great. So to me, that kind of stuff, I learned a big lesson from that whole experience with him, in that sharing your humanity is a big deal, like what we're doing now, just hanging out and talking and, and stuff. To me, this kind of stuff is important,
Yeah. It's funny. The other part of this that I think is so amazing is everyone can comment, like people are saying, God bless you, Coy, and your family. Some of our viewers, Carrie said that she loves your music album. One of the viewers here is saying you should record your books and play them for kids because they love. Do you have something like that where you've recorded them and then you've had like audiobooks for kids?
Yeah, so I'm currently in the process of recording video of me reading all of the books that'll go out. Should probably be in the next week or so. I'll be able to have this posted of me, me like kind of, hey, here's the book, kind of thing. So
they're gonna love that. And also if you guys are tuning in, feel free to post a comment if you want me to ask Coy a question, if you're wondering anything. But pretty much the gist of it, everyone knows what a good guy you are. That's for sure. Commenting on
I try to be
a great son and a good person that comes across, not just in your books, in everything that you do. And that's really, I think, what we're all trying to do right now, right? Is just connect to each other when we aren't able to physically and in person, and also just share some lessons that we've learned in our hardships that might then make us better people down the road. Like you talked about how you didn't make band and now you're in the Zac Brown Band. Yeah. Sometimes the hardest things that we go through make us who we are and great people. So someone's asking, what's your favorite place to play on tour?
I have to say Boston, Fenway Park. I mean, we played it every year for the last probably 4 or 5 years, a couple of nights in a row.
What is it about it? You a Red Sox fan?
Actually, I am. My buddy Jake Peavy played for the Red Sox for a while, so I became a fan of them through just being a buddy of his. It's bananas, man. Boston has this thing about being a Zac Brown Band city.
Really?
If you would have told me 15 years ago when we started doing this, or 12 years ago, however long it's been, that Boston would be like giant country music fans or just, fans of what we do, I would have been like, you're crazy. But I started figuring it out as I went, is that a lot of people, it's a lot like the South in that a lot of people who grow up next to their buddy or their buddy in high school with when they're 40, 50 years old, they're still Joey, you know, from across the street, and they still
Talk
live in
in
the
the
same
car.
place. Yeah. And then they hang out with each other when they get old, you know? So it's just like
Totally.
cool dudes who kind of grow up with each other, which, I mean, I still hang out with all of the dudes that I went to high school with. You know, I have this whole crew of dudes from my hometown that we see each other all the time, you know, and it's like nothing's ever changed, you know? And I think that a lot of the music that we write is kind of reflective on that kind of, that thing. So Boston people really connect with it. But when you go up there, it's really cool because they're really aggressive. You know, they're like, oh my God, it's dude. And then they don't really want, like, if you walk down the street or something and you're in town, they don't really want your autograph. They don't really want anything. They just want to be like, yo, what's up, Zac Brown? And you'll be like, what's up? And they're like, kill it tonight, man, kill it tonight. And I'm like, I will.
Like your buddies.
Yeah. And they just kind of like, all right, cool. They're like, you know, back to doing what they're doing. So, and the vibe of these classic American baseball fields just have so much nostalgia that it's just unbelievable. You know, when you step out on stage, you're just literally like, this is like a movie, you know?
Yeah, actually someone's saying that they've seen you 13 times. They're going to add Boston to the list of must-see concerts. So there you go. You know, it's so funny when you're talking about the Red Sox. This is just a story that I thought would be neat to share because in quarantine, like, things just are happening that would never happen normally. And so my son and I, he gets a show at night, and, you know, we're flipping through the channels, and we go to ESPN, and he's like, oh, baseball. Let's watch baseball, Mom. You know, he doesn't understand that there's no sports that are playing right now. And it was the World Series, Yankees, Red Sox from early 2000s. I'm not sorry for Red Sox and Yankees fans. I don't remember what year it was. And so we start watching this, and I don't know what it was, just to go back to the early 2000s when I didn't have an iPhone or social media or pressure or all these things. And sitting there, and he woke up in the morning and he goes, Mom, can we watch the Red Sox again today? Like, it was just one of these sweet, sweet moments of both of us, like, experiencing something. And I just feel like that keeps happening all the time. Like, there's just these little things. I'm like, this would never have happened in pre-COVID life. And I'm just, like, really trying to hold on to that. But I also feel like I'm failing a lot as a parent. And I was curious to see whether you had any, like, parenting fails and what you're doing about them.
Yeah, I think we're struggling with screen time, you know, because we're both, I mean, I have different projects that I'm doing. And so my wife, you know, I have to come down, and my wife, that leaves her with them. And then she has stuff that she has to do. So the idea is like, okay, here, you guys get to, you know, have a treat and watch, you know, the iPad for a little while. And, you know, before we had it really under control. And now it's one of those kind of things where we look at each other and we're like, is it too much? Like, what's too much, you know, and things of that nature. And but I'm trying to not be too hard on myself about any of this stuff. I mean, I think it's like, I know where the line is, and I also know like what needs to get done. And, you know, they enjoy it. So it's not like we're forcing them to do something that they don't like. I know there is a line of, you know, kind of what's too much. And so, yeah, that's one of those kind of things. I think that we're definitely not the kind of parents who allow our kids to watch a lot of TV or allow them to watch iPad. You know, before it was very like, this is the part of the day to where you get this as a treat kind of thing. You know, this is your time to, like, explore through YouTube Kids and, you know, watch your shows, or we would put on, you know, cartoons or something for them. And it was all vetted. We knew, like, you know, what the shows were about and everything. And now it's a little bit just
we're just
like
surviving, Coy.
Yeah.
We are surviving, and we are keeping them alive. And this is all that matters. I've written about this actually for CNN.com and Parents Magazine, that not only do we have to give our kids some grace and let them just have some meltdowns sometimes because they're confused, they're not seeing their friends, their family. My little guy's really struggling with that. He's a super social kid, and he's just having a hard time with it. So the meltdowns, I try as much as possible to sort of help him through them rather than really getting super frustrated. I feel like that sometimes. But giving ourselves grace. I just feel like, you know, my kid ate pretzels for breakfast this morning. You know what I mean? Like, let's just get through it.
Oh, yeah. My daughter has become let me make you a deal.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
3 years old. So the other day we were outside, and I was trying to show her how to do something, and she's in this very like want to do it herself kind of phase, you know, and she wants to be the leader, which I mean, I think is a great trait at a very young age to want to be the person. No, let me show you how this is done, kind of thing, you know. So it's like, okay, you know, let's see how do we do this? You show me. And so I try to like fall back and be a follower and let her lead, and then, you know, swap roles and be like, okay, well, this is how you would do that. And then she's like, no, I'm going to do it now, you know. But the other day she got frustrated at being a leader when we were in the backyard playing, and she said, 3 years old, she said, I need some space, I need some time. It's all I can do to be a single mother right now at this time, you know. And I was like, what? Yeah, I need some space, I need some time. It's hard being a single mother right now, you know. And I was like, all right, okay. So I just backed up and let her have her space.
Social distance.
Yeah, the thing of her having meltdowns or there being that kind of thing. Our 2-year-old is just kind of oblivious, man. She doesn't really but our 3-year-old's very much like, she wants to talk about doctors all the time. She's really infatuated with doctors, so we read books about doctors. I have friends of mine who are doctors, so I tell them stories about them, and she's really likes them because they take care of people. And so the thing with her, as far as her like emotional state with all of this and everything, is that as soon as she has kind of like an incident where it's like you're not listening and you're kind of talking back and you're raising your voice and we're not going to allow that, is that instead of kind of coming in like I would have before with this like shut it down, this is not going to happen in this house kind of thing, I more or less instantly tell her I love her. You know, like first things first, I love you. You're fine. I love you. You know, we're good. I love you. But, you know, so I just take the whole thing down to like a 3. Whereas before it would have probably been like a nip it in the bud, kind of like it's a 7, you know, like, you know, we're going to stop this now.
You talk to me like that, right?
Yeah, or you're going to be in timeout. Now it's like, I love you. I love you. I love you. You know, and then as soon as I start doing that a bunch of times, it automatically kind of takes them down to where like, okay, I'm not in trouble really, you know. I
need to take that advice. I mean, you know, it's so hard to remember to, you know, be present in this traumatic experience for them and remember that they're going through something really hard. But I do this something similar where I sit them down and say, just give me a hug. Just give me a hug.
Yeah.
And it does. It takes it right down. It's just like their whole body just loosens up. Because right now, a psychologist actually that I did a segment about this on said they want to go back to when they feel safe. And that's when they were a baby.
So the only people that we've been seeing are my mom and dad, because they're, you know, I guess at high risk. And they're not going anywhere, and we're not going anywhere. And so we had a long conversation about, we've been quarantined for over 4 weeks. We have been in touch with like 0 people. So, so would you guys be comfortable with us coming and seeing you? And they're retired, so they haven't been seeing anybody. And so we've agreed that like, I want to see them as much as I can while this is going on. And it's been so amazing for the kids, because my mom and dad have been somebody, they haven't been necessarily standoffish to them, but they just, my mom's demeanor is not like to like, she's not a cheek squeezer. Oh, I love you. I'm going to make you like love me whether you want to or not. She's like, you know, if you don't want to come up and hug Nana, that's fine, you know, kind of thing. But for the first time, we were like, we're going to see Nana and Pop Pop. And they were like, yes, you know. And we went down, and they immediately jumped out of the car. They ran across the front yard, and they hugged my dad. And my oldest daughter was like, Pop, Pop, I love you so much. You know, and it was just one of those kind of things. He was like, not saying that wouldn't have happened, you know, but that is something that, you know, it's really like a day by day kind of thing. And just seeing my mom and dad getting to experience our kids in this way, to where it's kind of like, I'm not on the road.
Yeah,
they're here, and when we're generally together, it's you know, I drive back down to my hometown, and we literally sit in the front field, and just the girls run around, and I chase them, and then we take a break, and then we run around, and we get into like ranger thing where my parents live like, you know, on 30 acres or whatever, and we ride around and pick flowers and look at birds and
right,
you know, all this stuff, which has really helped me mentally to be able to have this other spot besides my house to be able to go to where I know it's one, to safe for my girls, and I'm also going to get to see my parents, and it's going to be safe for them. But we've been taking it beyond seriously, you know, as far as like, you know, not, you know, we've been really like on lockdown kind of thing, you know?
yeah. You know, it's funny. Someone was just saying, Shirley, new mom, forced to retire as a cop while fighting postpartum depression, and her family helped find a new purpose. You know, this is like, you know, people going through really hard times. If you don't have your family with you, you know, my sister actually joined in on the live. Hi, Kat.
Hey, sis.
And I thought about this yesterday about how I don't know when I'm going to see my parents next. And I don't know when I'm going to hug my parents. And my in-laws live in town, again, high risk. And so they'll come over and stand in the yard. And like my little one doesn't understand. He wants to run and go hug Grammy. And we have to pull him back. And it's just heartbreaking. I just break down every time I see it, because you can't explain to the little guy why he can't. And, you know, I think what you're doing there, it just giving them that safety. I don't know. It makes me sort of wonder whether or not that's the strategy, is we quarantine and we're super strict. I just worry about grocery store trips. I've taken a couple of grocery store trips. I wear a mask, but still,
We've been getting the home delivery thing and then doing the wipe down and all that stuff, you know?
Exactly. Everyone's saying they miss their family. I know. Everyone misses.
You know, the thing about this stuff that's really interesting is Eric Church just did this this video, and I would encourage everybody to go and watch it. But it was the first time. The narrative so far to me on this has been like, wow, this is, you know, everybody's been very careful. Like all the commercials have got like soft piano music playing in the background, you know, and it's all about like kind of the melancholiness of like love and hope and everything. But the narrative hasn't changed to like, we're going to get through this, you know? And so Eric Church released this video called Through My Ray-Bans, and it's a spoken word, but he does a lot of spoken word on his albums. And he talks about how this virus has never seen anything like the power of the American people, and how, you know, he's not telling people to run out and like lick handrails and stuff like that. You know, I mean, it's like the whole idea is not to like not be safe and to not take it seriously. But the idea is that, you know, we as a country have been through a lot, you know, you name it, what, you know, over the years we've been through it. And this is going to be something that we're going to go through again. And there's no stopping that. But the resiliency that we have as an American, as American people, the idea that there's going to be the hug that you get with your mother when you haven't seen them in a year or 6 months or however long it's going to take, that hug is going to be something you never forget. And it's going to be, movies are going to be written about it. Songs are going to be written about it, you know? So I think that the whole idea of, to me, I'm starting to change my place of position. Instead of being, you know, I have a plan. I know what I think is the best plan of action for me is to protect my kids and protect my family. And I'm doing that. So I can kind of lay off of that a little bit, you know, as far as not necessarily, but I've already got the plans in place. So I don't have to just kind of keep beating myself up about wear the mask, you know, or you know, we have a plan. So we're following the plan. And the next mode of action is, to me, is taking care of myself and my family, like basically mentally and spiritually. And so like doing the FaceTime and the Zooms and stuff with our family, so everybody gets to see each other, even if we're like, the mic's not on.
You're muted.
Yeah, can we just start over, leave and come back, you know, this whole thing. So, but I think, you know, the idea of the power of emotion and being somebody, man, I've cried more during this whole thing And I mean, my dad's a crier, so I grew up around crying's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I am not ashamed to be somebody who's going to step off to the side and just, you know, kind of lose it a little bit and then come back and be like, all right, I got it. I'm good, I think, you know? Yeah. You know, but all of that stuff is okay. You know what I mean? And I think the power of human voice and connection and video connection, like we're doing now, there's so much strength in that. To, if you have a friend who's by themselves and they're struggling mentally, you know, like, go drive over and stand in their front yard. You can't hug them, but you know, you can be feet away from them. That's appropriate. And you can have the same conversations, and they can cry and you can cry, and, you know, or, you know, make somebody a sandwich. I mean, a sandwich goes a long way, you know, like, make somebody a sandwich and send it over to their house, or write somebody a letter, or
drop off some groceries.
Yeah. I mean, just anything that you can think of, you know, because I think that we're all in this together, and the idea of being able to share our humanity with each other is something that's really important. So I've been doing a lot of phone calls, checking in on my buddies, checking in on my parents, checking in on other people. It's been really awesome to know that I have great friends, because I have people, like I talked to my buddy the other day. He was like, hey man, I just want to let you know, if you're freaked out by this, then that's okay, because I'm not freaked out by it. So if you need to call me, call me. And I was like, good to know.
File it that way.
You know?
So talk me off the ledge today.
Yeah.
Or even like some people in the comments here, they're just giving some support to Shirley, who I shared her comment about going through some postpartum depression, and just saying, like, you're going to get through this. You're not alone. And there are better days to come. This is not forever. Those kinds of things I'm seeing in people more than I have ever before. When I'm out walking, I'm in the car. Do you notice this? Everybody is so friendly. Everybody's waving. Everybody's smiling at you. And I think everybody knows, like, here we are completely united. Nobody's not going through this.
Yeah, exactly.
The first time ever that you, a huge celebrity, traveling with the Zac Brown Band, children's book author, musician, doing the same thing that we're all doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a complete equalizer for everyone.
Yeah, and I think the thing about that is that there was about to be a major awakening happening in America, specifically with mental health, and people like, you know, celebrities talking about their struggle with mental health and everything. And I think that this is something that's gonna help keep that dialogue even more, like, rising to the surface more, is that there's more people who struggle with anxiety and depression. You know, you look at statistics, and people who, you know, I've been going to see a counselor since I was like probably 18 years old. I quickly learned when I was like in 18 that I think too much, and I sometimes can't make myself stop thinking. And so my mom was like, well, you know, my mom was a financial aid director at a university. And she was like, you know, your financial aid pays for counseling, right? And I was like, I did not know that. And she was like, yeah, you can go talk to a counselor for free at your school. And I was like, I'm going to go do that. And so I would leave there, have talked to somebody, and would feel so much better about my life. And I've been doing it ever since, you know, and it's not something that I feel the least bit ashamed about. It causes me to be a better human. It causes me to be a better dad, a better husband. It causes me to be more creative. And, you know, ultimately I'm more emotionally sound, you know?
Yeah, so I completely agree with that. I've been a long time. My mom was actually a family therapist, and she's always been so just, you need to focus on your mental health. And part of that piece of a puzzle is talking to somebody outside of your friends, outside. And I've always done that. And I think it's it centers me. It makes me feel more, as you say, a better mom, a better wife. And, you know, it's just, for me, when we were doing On the Story, mental health was something we were really passionate about. And we did so many tragic stories of just where this country was going. And this, you know, someone was saying, this is a reset for the whole world, the whole country as a whole, which what we were doing, it was unsustainable. And this is really taking the pause to say, we need to all come together, be in this together, and get people that help that they need. And there's help out there. There are places, you know, hotlines right now, certain cities are giving mental health resources to those that really need it. And if you know that you want help, that means that there's help out there.
Sure. And also, I think it's one of those kind of things to where, like you were saying, we were on a walk the other day and we walked by a house and the kids were like looking out their front window over their couch out the, you know, at the front of their house. And we sat and waved at them for 10 minutes. And I would act like I was walking and being silly, and their kids would laugh. And then I'd turn around and walk the other way. So like our kids performed a little show for like 5 to 10 minutes for this family that's inside their house when they were waving. I've never met these people before in my life and everything. And it was one of those kind of things where before I would have walked by and I would have waved and I would have just been like, headed home, guys. But like we stopped and smelled the roses with these guys and like shared this little weird, funny thing of just like, you know, us being silly and them thinking it was funny, and us being silly and us and them thinking it was funny, you know? So I think the thing to me that's like, as far as where we're at now is taking like conversations like this and people who are watching and everything, and like let everybody know that there's like a call to action right now. You know, like this is where you call your mom. This is where you call your sister. If you think anybody's struggling, if you are struggling, this is where you call people. You know, this is where you get on Zoom with them or FaceTime or whatever it is, and you cry it out. And then, you know, this is not one of those kind of things like when you're busy and the world was going like it was, till where you're like, I hope they're okay. And you think about it and you're like, but I got to go to the grocery store. Maybe I'll call them tomorrow, kind of thing. This isn't that life anymore. This is where you call them right now. This is where you text them, you say, I'm going to talk to you at 7 p.m. tonight when my kids, you know, or 8 when my kids are in bed, you know, are you available then? You know, that whole idea of like making sure that it happens and taking that extra step to really make it like a reality, I think is one of those kind of things that's so important, you know, and us having conversations like this and other people viewing us talking about it. Not that our opinions matter more than anybody else's opinions or anything like that, but just the fact
you're not
that
alone. Yeah,
that we're going through stuff together, and you know, you have your life and your opinion, and I have my life and my opinion, but ultimately we're meeting on a lot of similar levels, you know, right now, which 6 months ago our lives would have been oddly similar maybe, but right now they're pretty similar, you know.
And that's the whole point of why we're doing this, Coy. I mean, we're going to do this every Wednesday. We're going to have you know, someone like you who's doing great things for people in this time. We need the positivity, we need the lessons. I mean, even just besides the air mattress, you've given me some great tips for quarantine, and just sharing in this unity is so awesome. And I hope that everyone at home who's been doing this will do this with us each Wednesday. And Coy, before we go, I just want to have you give some information of where people can find your books if they're new to you and things like that.
So there's this book called Behind the Little Red Door. Yeah. And then I just recently finished a CD called Music for Tiny Humans. And it actually won a gold award for Parents' Choice Award like last week, which I was like, you know, any good news that comes down the pipe these days, you're like, yes. Totally. You know, it's like
it's like an Oscar. You put that on your mantle.
Oh man. So if you want to check out anything I'm doing, go to coybowles.com. The CD is there's actually 2 songs on here one is called When You're Feeling Sick, and the other one is called one is called The Sickness Song, and one is called Sun Shines Every Day. And I wrote these songs like 3 years ago, and they're about being sick and like overcoming it and having hope and having, you know, so it's odd. There's also a song in here called We're All in This Together. There's a song called I Got Feelings, which talks about kids, how being mad and being angry and being scared is all stuff that you can go through, but you can also ride the wave of emotion and come back to happiness or contentness if you want to, you know. So this music is some of the best music that I've ever been a part of writing and producing, and I'm super duper proud of it, specifically for the fact that there are kids at home right now who could use a lot of positive, you know, reinforcement. So I don't care if this CD ever makes $1. You know, like to me, the idea of why I did this was not to like have a product or anything like that. The idea was that I'm a person who's a giver, a helper, and a soft leader, you know? So I wanted to produce this CD and give it out to the world. And now it's more relevant now than it ever has been before. And so before I leave, another thing that I've realized is that we have all these tools that are in our lives that we take for granted. Music is something that I play every single day of my life, but I really don't truly understand the power that it has to affect me in a positive way. Meaning that, like, if I wake up and I listen to Bob Marley as soon as I wake up, my day is completely different as if I wake up and just instantly watch the news. Or if there's music playing in your house that is positive, you know, inspirational music, the way it affects our human body and our spirit and our mind and our whole thing, it's a tool to use, you know? So that we should all be aware of these tools that we have. Writing in your journal, you know, meditating, taking walks, using music, you know, and specifically if you need music for kids, which this music is for kids and adults, but it's everywhere. You can find it everywhere. So Spotify, Apple Music, you know, all of these places, Amazon, you can find the music. And if you're watching and you are new to seeing me or whatnot, so make sure to check out the music, and then I want to hear what you have to say about it, what you think, because I'm really excited about it, and I would love to see your kids like doing the dinosaur dance or shaking and moving or something like that. So make sure to check me out, because I'm doing as much as I can right now, a call to action to try to help kids specifically, you know. So
you're awesome. As somebody just said, music is medicine. Coy, you've been my medicine today. I needed this. This is awesome.
This is awesome, man.
It was
I'm
so awesome. It was just so great to be able to spend this much time and not having somebody in my ear saying, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. We got to go to commercial. We don't have time for this long of an fantastic. And
yes.
let's be in touch. We're going to get on the set soon. And we're going to do another when a new album or a new book comes out. We're going to see each other in person real soon. Until then, God bless you.
Sure,
Thanks for
I'll pop in
you're
on
doing.
these things anytime you want to. Yeah,
I would
anytime
love it.
you need me, I'm here. You know, I'm not going anywhere. So
I'm with you on that. You take
yeah, well,
care of
peace
that
and love
family.
to everybody. Everybody
Peace
be
and
safe.
love, guys.
Yeah, see you.
See you.